Well, good morning. As you know already that I am speaking this morning, Reverend Sandy is recovering from a knee surgery, and she's doing great. But please, I don't want to feel like the substitute teacher and being afraid you're going to misbehave. So I want a good report, so please behave yourselves as much as you can. And we wish you well. I know you're watching, Sandy, so please keep sitting and being still. Our talk this morning is the courage to be yourself. Now, there's a lot of levels to that, and we're going to be looking at some of those and how we overcome maybe the fear or doubt so we can stand stronger in our values and being who we are. Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind textbook, his central message is that each person is a unique expression of the divine or infinite intelligence. And that real fulfillment comes from expressing the authentic nature rather than living according to fear or other people's expectations. I'm sure we have all had an experience, or perhaps we have a habit of trying to meet other people's expectations. Rather than being true to ourselves and not trying to be something we're not, standing in our power and having the courage to work through anything to express more fully who we are is so important. Reverend Sandy and I first got into this teaching in 1980. We started in Redondo Beach with Frank Richelieu, and at that time they were called Churches of Religious Science. And we were introduced to Frank Richelieu's church. He actually had a mega church. He had 2,000 people in his church, and they had still have a beautiful facility. But we walked in the doors of that sanctuary, and we got that immediate feeling of being home. And so many of you have probably experienced that same thing on your journey. It felt so comfortable. We didn't have any idea that there was a formal religion that believed the way we did, that followed our values and what we stood for. And it was quite an eye-opening experience. So that was 46 years ago. So we have been immersed in this way of thinking really our whole lives, but formally for 46 years. And one thing I have discovered, we all feel fear at times, uncertainty, doubt. And I think my belief is that we learn fear. I don't think we know fear at a young age. I want to give an example. I was in my second year of college, and I decided I wanted to start a band. I was living in LA at that time, and I did not have any doubt that I couldn't do it. I put an ad in the newspaper, since that was the only form of media to get out there, for musicians. And I was looking for a drummer, a bass player, guitar player, vocalist. And anyway, I put an ad in the paper and got a pretty good response. And so I auditioned the people, and from that extracted myself and 4 other people to start a band. And again, I had no fear or doubt that this couldn't be done. I didn't know what fear around something like that was. So I moved forward with what I believed was true for me, for my calling, and formed a band, and we were called More and More. We worked a lot of dives for a percentage of the bar, and then literally got discovered by an agency one night. And he asked me, "What are you guys doing playing here? We can work with you," blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they did. We got a great gig in LA right next to the Forum that we worked 6 nights a week from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when lounges had live music and bands. And it opened so many doors and gave so many opportunities. But one reason I attribute being able to have done that at the age of 20 was that I didn't have any fear that I couldn't do it. I didn't have any doubt in my mind. So as we grow older, we have some mishaps, some failings, some things that don't go the way we want, and we learn fear that we don't want to try them necessarily again. So I think a lot of us are probably at a point in our life where maybe we have to unlearn fear and doubt and work our way through it. It's not about ignoring fear, it's about working through it and having the tenacity just to move through it and know something greater. And it's about being true to ourselves. What's true to us has to be true to the world. There's a saying that the two greatest days in your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why. And that's the key. If we are standing true to ourselves, if we have that courage to work through any doubt, any uncertainty, we can create great things. Look at the people on our wall over there. They all did the same thing. They stood out and did great things against adversity. And they didn't listen to what was expected of them. They instead knew what their heart was telling them, their soul, and that gave them a direction in which to move with certainty and follow through. So they did great things. We're all capable of that. And they don't have to be great things. There can be small things with great love. So we all have that same opportunity. One thing I wanted to bring up was that growth isn't about having all the answers. Growth is about learning from our mistakes as well as the things that go right. So when we can understand that and step aside or work through the fear that may be there, we can be courageous in expressing who we are. I was blessed to be born into a family that was open-minded and encouraged and fostered the talents that myself and my two brothers had. They fostered that and never told us how to think or what to think, but how to be a good person and how to express yourself through what's in your heart. So I was raised with that, and I feel so blessed, especially now in this teaching, knowing that I had good role models and good guidance. And even if we have some stumbling blocks, we have the opportunity to really propel ourselves into that next expression of ourselves. Mark Nepo, many of you know the author Mark Nepo. He's just great. He has a book called Finding Inner Courage. And he talks about courage comes from the Latin word cor, which is equal to heart. The original sense of courage is to stand by one's core. And I love that because that really paints a picture and encourages us to really stand by what's in our heart, what's our driving force. What are we to do with this life? How are we to make an impact, large or small? The deepest act of courage is to trust that the soul within you knows the way. When you become fully yourself, you become a living expression of the divine. And I love this, which is also in his book. Courage is the quiet prayer of a heart that chooses truth over approval, even when it walks alone. So I'm hoping that all of you, having been in this teaching for various lengths of time, have come to the conclusion that you can move yourself through anything that comes your way. The challenges probably are our greatest teacher, but we also learn from the things that go smoothly. How did that work? Why did that go smoothly? What did we do with our consciousness, creating that smooth transition? So it's about listening, and not listening with the ears, but listening from inside. And that's something I want you all to take away with today. One thing I want to do right now is have you relax into this moment. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And I want you don't need to tell me what the answers are, but for yourself, tell you what that answer is. So you might want to close your eyes just to be in that space of receptivity. The first question is, what feels true to you right now? What feels true to you right now? Second question, am I acting from fear or from values? Am I acting from fear or from values? If I weren't afraid of being judged, what would I choose? If I weren't afraid of being judged, what would I choose? So I hope you got some answers. If not, go home and just reflect on that, meditate on that, and see what comes up for you. Because this teaching is all about changing our life. Certain things come at us at certain times. A lot of times we don't have control over those things. However, what we always have control over is how we choose to experience that event. That we have full control over. So just keep that in mind, that no matter what comes your way, you have the choice of how you want to experience it and what you want to do with it. You know, so often right now, especially with social media and all the forms of that and the expectations and what's coming at us, sometimes we feel diminished. But that's not really the truth. We don't want to be like everybody else. We want to be who we are. We want to express the gifts we have. And trust me, I know we all have special gifts of some sort. It's just about digging deep within to do that. And about making a difference in your world, in the world of your friends, maybe in the world as an entirety. You have that capability. I want to share something, individual that and we all know him, that I have such admiration for, and his ability to move beyond what others expected of him and what he overcame. His name is Mr. Fred Rogers. We all know Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, right? This is what I found on him. Growing up, Fred Rogers was shy and often bullied. Rather than trying to become louder or tougher to fit in, he leaned into his natural kindness and empathy. As an adult, when television was becoming faster, flashier, and more commercial, many people believed children's TV needed constant excitement to keep kids' attention. Mr. Rogers disagreed. He believed children deserved honesty, patience, and respect. Instead of changing to match industry trends, he spoke directly and calmly to children, addressed difficult topics like fear, death, divorce, and disability, and reminded viewers that they were very valuable just as they were. Many executives doubted his slow, gentle style would not succeed, but it did. For more than 3 decades, millions of children found comfort and confidence through his program. He authentically became his greatest strength, and his influence continues long after the show ended. A quote often associated with him captures this idea. There is only one person in the world, whole world, like you, and people can like you exactly as you are. His story is heartwarming because it shows that being true to yourself doesn't always mean being the loudest or the most popular. Sometimes it means quietly holding on to your values, even when the world expects something different. In Fred Rogers' case, staying true to who he was changed the lives of generations of children, and still does. So I hope that this idea of staying true to who we are, having the courage to work through any doubts about that, has empowered us to go out into the world and be a role model for how we can all be and come together in that common desire to be ourselves. So I thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for staying with the substitute here.